Hello, my friends. This is Wake Angel 2001, and for answering a trivia question at work, yes, the Levi gene was indeed patented May 20th, 1873. I won a $10 gift card at Target, which I used to get myself a Legacy United Cheetor core class figure. Now, despite how much I loved the Beast Wars cartoon when I was a kid, and tolerated the Beast Machines cartoon, I never actually had a Cheetor figure before. Like, Cheetor is the Beast era's Bumblebee. He's like the major character that got like the most important figures. So like, it just seemed like a gap that I never actually had any version of him. You know, like, even when he did come out in more mainstream stuff like Cyberverse, which connected him better to G1 continuity. So, like, in support of an actual good toy from the Beast Machines line, like, yeah, look it up. I'm pretty sure you'll be hard-pressed to find anybody saying anything nice about most of the Beast Machines figures. I admit the Black Arachnia was okay. The Strika, though undersized, was decent for representing the way the character looked, even if the colors are completely wrong. But yeah, like, an actual good action figure that looks like the show model? Yeah, let's get this guy out of the box and see what that's like. So here is Cheetor out of the box. At first glance, he might look a little bit plain, what with all being so yellow, but to be fair, that is accurate to how he looked on the show for the most part. He was mostly just yellow with a couple of orange highlights here and there, with mostly his purple spots and some small green bits to break apart the vast sea. If you look, he does have some gold accents on his little abs, and his face is painted in. Although with those purple spots under his eyes, just kind of make it look like he hasn't had enough sleep. But yeah, it does have that slightly feline-ish face that we remember from this particular cartoon. You know, with like the almost cat-like nose. Is that coming up? Are you? Yeah, I think that's as good a focus as I'm going to get in a figure this small. Alright. His shoulders, they have that orange thing and more spots. The back is looking pretty unpainted and actually kind of hollow, given that that's where the cat head ends up. But you know, it's pretty good considering the size and price point. It's pretty good. So he's wielding his swords here. Let's break down the articulation real quick before I do anything else. Head is on a swivel. Shoulders are ball jointed, though the shape of the shoulders prevents him from fully T-posing. He can swing them around quite a bit. There's a ball jointed elbow. This one peg here for transformation does get a bit in the way because it hits his chest. We'll get more on that later. Although something that's not restricted by Kibble are his hips, which get a full range. Actually, even these are kind of blocked a little bit by a peg meant to hold his transformation together, although it's not as egregious as what happens to his shoulders. Nothing in the waist unless you count a transformation hinge, which is kind of locked in by the tail. And then he has a thigh swivel, a knee, and an ankle, which, because of the digitigrade leg, is way up here, which is anatomically accurate for a cheetah leg. And if you thought like the big problem that a lot of people had with Beast Wars era toys was that the transformation was stand the animal up, do something to kajigger the legs and reveal the robot head, then Cheetor, oh wow, Cheetor was basically the textbook example of that. So you're not exactly expecting a really complex transformation from this guy, but that's just accurate to how he was. Now, his swords don't have to be wielded. You can actually peg them into slots on his shoulders. There is a dedicated peg on the swords just for that purpose. There we go. It can be a little bit hard to get them in there because everything is lost in a sea of yellow. And Ay. is a very small peg. There we go. So yeah, like you can put the swords in the shoulders. It kind of reminds me of the original toy from back in the day, which had a gimmick built in where the swords were stored in the shoulders and then it would go down a lever into his hands, which is kind of a nifty gimmick that's reminiscent of how he pulls them out in the show, except that, you know, that kind of limited the articulation of the toy itself. And the cheetah paw, it can unfold and clip in under the hand like this. That's done for transformation, but the way it looks in this mold, it kind of looks like they were doing an homage to the claw gimmick that Supreme Cheetor had. Supreme Cheetor being like the biggest Beast Machines figure ever made, which if anybody watches TJ Omega or any of the other prominent Transformers toy reviewers on the internet, they would know how infamous that toy is. But yeah, like to see one of its features sort of homage like this is just kind of amusing to me. Now I did try to do the transformation on camera once, but my hands kept getting in the way and it wasn't very entertaining. So I'm going to do it off camera this time. I'm just going to bring one point up here. I kind of hate having to maneuver this peg into this hole on his chest. So that being said, let's get this guy into his kitty mode. And there is Tiny Kitty. Yep, that looks like a cybernetic cheetah, alright. In this mode, the spots are much more prominent. You can see them much easier on his profile. And he has his cat head. If you look, his robot head is just kind of tucked in into the neck, which from the side looks kind of weird, like it's trying to be part of his chest, but it just doesn't connect. And I'm going to go right on and say it. I have a similar complaint for this figure that I had for Silverbolt, and that is the way that it transforms inherently limits articulation of the beast mode. Because like here, I can move the front leg at the ball jointed elbow, and I can still move this here in the back, which can help a little bit with some poses, but not much. What I'm saying that makes it similar to Silverbolt is that the limbs peg themselves in. The arms are pegged into the chest like this, and the legs are pegged in here to the crotch. So you lose a lot of articulation for the sake of holding it in its mode. So just like with Silverbolt, I would recommend simply unpegging those pegs, and then you have an actual articulated cheetah figure. Like, yeah. See, like now I can move this leg, and if I unpeg the rear legs from that thing, now I can move these legs too. Now you have a much more dynamic figure that can actually look like it's running. You know, like that's much better. Like, I don't understand why they go out of their way to engineer these Beast Wars or Beast Machines figures to inherently limit them when they transform. I mean, this would kind of be the equivalent of the robots that transform into cars. Like, when they transform, the wheels, like, have a peg that latches them into place so they can't turn anymore, so the car can't roll. Like, that doesn't make any sense, right? So why would you limit the limbs of a Beast Transformer? You can also, as you can see, the swords are still easily mounted here. And let me just take them out. When you take them out, then he's looking more svelte, more cheetah-like. So like, yeah, now he's looking like a proper cheetah, not all big, like a lynx or some other more broad-shouldered cat. And the two swords do have a combining gimmick. Now, in the cartoon, Cheetor would hold him like this, so that combined with his natural speed of running, he could hold him in front of himself and turn him into like an improvised wing that would give him a gliding ability, which would be cool if they could peg together like that, except they kind of can't. That's the closest that you can get them to do in a cartoon-accurate way. And in this manner, he can only hold it with one of his hands anyway. No, the instructions want you to connect them like this, or like this, which, if he was a Thanos fanboy, or was pretending to wield the Sword of Plundar from the original Thundercats cartoon. Oh, hey, Thundercats, I just got that. Maybe that is an intentional reference. then yeah, good. But, you know, his sword didn't do this on the show. Like, this kind of blows. I wish that they just had it connect the way it actually does, or get rid of the connection entirely. I mean, the whole reason they don't connect the other way is because if you try to use that peg, then the very pegs that make them latch onto his shoulders get in the way. That's what prevents the proper attachment. So there we go. I have talked about the sword's stupid combining gimmick. So, is he a good figure? Let me put it this way. He's probably one of the best Beast Machines figures there are, and he does do one thing that was always a big complaint about me from the original Beast Machines line. And that, my friends, is scale. Yeah, like, he scales really nicely with my Striker figure. Like, I always hated in, like, the cartoon toy lines could never get scale right. Even to this day, like, Megatron and Twitch are the same height. They're both warrior class figures. And, like, you know, Twitch, who's barely taller than a human, and Megatron, who's 3 stories tall. Like, it's weird for their action figures to be the same height. I really wish that we could do this more often. Like, have characters that are intended to be small in the fiction be in, like, the core class, and then have characters that are intended to be taller be deluxes or bigger. In fact, I kind of wish that Striker was at least a Voyager, because she was huge on Beast Machines. But at least standing next to a core class Cheetor, she does look a little better. So, yeah, like, I don't really have a lot of Beast Machines toys. The only other one I really have is, I have the original Striker, which is the same size as this Striker, and Black Arachnia, who is significantly bigger, and, you know, nowhere near in scale with either Striker. But, yeah, like, maybe if we can get a Beast Machines Black Arachnia also in this scale, would they be able to do that? I'd be up for that. And you know what? Sure, give me all of the characters from Beast Machines in core class. Then you could stand them next to your, you know, to your Autobots and Decepticons, and that would be a much better representation of their scale based on the old cartoons. You know, not the movie where they're giant animal robots. But yeah, that's what I really like about this toy. So yeah, like, he's not a very expensive figure, only $10. You know, like, he's a core class, so you could do much worse. And you know what? If I had my way, I would simply clip off these pegs on the insides of his arms and legs so that they wouldn't get in the way of his posing and they wouldn't lock up the cat mode's mobility. Like, just like with Silverbolt, I'm going to say the biggest flaw is that the Beast transformation inherently locks the limbs up, and I do not like that part. But I like everything else. This is Wake Angel 2001, signing off.